EDPB DPIA language, precise Article 35 triggers and phrasing. A Data Protection Impact Assessment, DPIA, is more than paperwork. It's a practical tool that protects individuals' rights and privacy by anticipating harms before they happen. The European Data Protection Board, EDPB, publishes guidance that shapes how organizations should approach privacy risk. Following it helps you align with regulatory expectations and demonstrates due diligence. DPIAs are especially valuable for identifying high-risk processing activities, such as profiling or large-scale handling of sensitive data. Finally, conducting a DPIA can trigger legal obligations under Article 35, so treating DPIAs seriously reduces legal and reputational exposure. Article 35 kicks in when processing is likely to result in high risk to people's rights. So the first step is deciding whether that threshold is met. You must consider the nature, scope, context, and purpose of processing. What data, how much, where, and why. The law also expects you to examine necessity and proportionality. Is the processing essential and limited to the purpose? A compliant DPIA must document identified risks and the mitigation measures you will use, showing regulators you've evaluated alternatives and planned safeguards. The EDPB values clarity. Use strong, specific verbs like assess, evaluate, and identify so each task is unambiguous. When you describe risks, quantify them by stating both likelihood and severity. For example, high likelihood / medium severity. Avoid vague qualifiers such as may, unless you explain the conditions that create uncertainty. Crucially, state ownership. Name who will perform each action, e.g., Data Protection Officer will evaluate access controls by June 30th. Precision in language makes compliance verifiable and defensible. Write trigger lists that clearly answer the question, when must a DPIA begin? Include specific triggers such as profiling with legal effects, large-scale processing, or handling special category, sensitive data. Tie each trigger to concrete examples within your systems. For instance, profiling for credit decisions in Loan App. Phrase triggers as direct questions to help teams assess applicability quickly. Does the project process more than 10,000 records monthly? Finally, include measurable thresholds and criteria so triggers aren't open to subjective interpretation. Design trigger questions to be both quick and informative. Combine binary yes-no queries with graded scales to capture nuance. E.g., is processing large-scale? Yes-no. If yes, select scale 1 - 1,000 over 1, 001 - 10,000 / greater than 10,000. Ask explicitly about special categories of data and automated decision-making that may cause harm. Include prompts about the project's purpose and potential harms to data subjects, and require mapping of data flows and recipients so reviewers can see where data travels. This structure speeds decision-making and improves consistency. When you write DPIA findings, start with concise risk statements that explain what could happen and why, e.g., unauthorized access to employee health records could cause reputational harm and discrimination. For each risk, recommend concrete controls and state the expected residual risk level after controls are applied. Assign responsible parties and realistic timelines for implementation so actions are tracked. Finally, include steps for monitoring and review. Note when controls will be tested and when the DPIA will be revisited to ensure risks remain managed over time. Consistency and traceability make DPIAs useful and auditable. Use consistent terminology across policies, DPIAs, and records so reviewers don't waste time reconciling synonyms. Link DPIA sections back to legal bases and entries in your processing records to show how decisions align with law. Keep sentences short, directive, and actionable, e.g., encrypt dataset X by March 15th, so there's no ambiguity. Finally, always version and date each DPIA and record changes. Versioning proves review history and supports audits or regulator queries. Precise wording in DPIAs reduces interpretive risk and speeds regulatory review. Make your trigger language specific, testable, and owned, so teams can reliably decide when to start a DPIA. Ensure each DPIA clearly shows assessment, mitigation, and governance. What you assessed, how you reduced risks, who's responsible, and how you'll monitor outcomes. Clear, measurable language not only helps protect individuals, it also makes internal approvals and external audits smoother. Good drafting is a compliance and business enabler.